Hello, everyone. My name is Tina Chisholm, and I'm your admissions advisor for Concordia's hybrid nursing program. We are an accelerated Bachelor's of Science in Nursing program. And Tuan, is it okay to go into the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So throughout this chat, if you could please direct chat me in the chat your name, your email address, and any questions that you might have. And this will be roughly about a 15-minute presentation because of time constraints. And I'm going to do my best to give you the most accurate, high-level general information that is being presented today. And if you would kindly, as Tuan had mentioned, just make sure your phones are muted and that way we can continue. Thank you so much. Next slide. So we are a hybrid program and we have a brand new location that we are very excited about. It is 10750 4th Street in the city of Rancho Cucamonga. So if you can see the red highlighted area in the map, that is roughly where our site is going to be located. And so that will be spring of 2024, which is January. All righty. And so the site houses state-of-the-art skills, our simulation labs, our offices, our classrooms. An important piece to mention is that we want to make sure driving distance that you students really take a look at how far you would be driving because you will have clinicals several times a week for our site. And yes, so next slide, Tuan. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about what accelerated means. So it's essentially the same curriculum as a traditional program. However, it's structured in a shorter amount of time. So that means you wouldn't get a summer break. You would go all the way straight through the summer and you get to graduate early. So that's how our accelerated program is structured. And so we go for 4 straight semesters and no summer breaks, as I said, and it's a 15-month program. So in just a year and 3 months, you will have completed your nursing program and you get to graduate. So the program is a full-time program. There's 40 to 50 hours per week. And so it is a commitment which will include your classroom time. It'll include your exams, your in-person, your skills labs, your clinicals, and your simulations. And so if you are in the area that's close to, if you're in Orange County or Los Angeles County, this is in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, which is San Bernardino County. And so just, be aware of that. So next slide, Tuan. Our clinicals and simulations. So they are 765 hours of clinical experience. And you will get that experience in hospitals, acute care, community, and ambulatory settings. And so these settings are within approximately 50 miles within the Rancho Cucamonga site. And one of the great things, I think, for me, is Concordia has an excellent reputation with its connections in Southern California. And our ABSN students, they really get to benefit from learning from top care providers in the region. And so I know that it's going to be important for you as well that you get this hands-on experience. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you. And I also wanted to share about our mixed reality. We've got mixed reality in our simulations labs. And the reason we have this mixed reality is so it really exposes you to real lifelike scenarios, along with our high fidelity mannequins. I don't know if any of you have ever seen any of these mannequins, that they're very lifelike. So next slide, please. And student support, that is also an area that I really would love to cover. It's very important that you get the student support that you need, and we provide that in our faculty mentorships and with your student peers. It's really important that you draw close to your cohort because they're the ones who are going to be riding beside you during your nursing school experience, right? And so we also have dedicated academic advisors. And we also want to make sure, the big one is that you're well prepared for the NCLEX. So we have really extensive test preparations for you to go through this. And that's so important. Um, and so let's talk about the first bullet point, which is faculty mentorship. What is that? And it's really smaller, close class sizes so that you get the best attention possible. So let's say you have a question and you're working through some of these online problems or activities. You can always reach out to one of your student peers or email the faculty directly, and they'll get back with you as soon as possible, and with no longer than 1 to 2 days. And when we talk about student peers, I know we went over that a bit, but nursing school will be one of the hardest things, right, guys, that you ever accomplish, maybe in your academic careers. And so it's critical to lean on those peers. They're going to be the ones that will really, on a day to day, help you through everything when you want to build those close relationships. And along with our dedicated advisors, they're really dedicated to making sure that you get the best support possible. Alrighty, next slide, please. All right, admissions requirements. And that's a really important topic. You will need to have a cumulative GPA of 3.25 and a prerequisite GPA of 3.0. And we are in the process right now. You will need a bachelor's degree and or 65 credits. Our site is now approved, so we're so excited about that. And our transfer path is approved. So if you have any questions about, any of this, please again direct chat me and we'll go over that. And I can always set up a time so we can talk a bit further. All right. So next slide. We do look at 3 buckets when we're looking at your transcripts. We're going to be looking at your general education courses. With that, we will determine whether or not, that you meet the requirements. So you do have to, at this time, have a bachelor's degree, although we do have the transfer path available. It's already approved, so we can talk further about that. And the second bucket we look at are the prerequisite science courses. You need to have anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 completed, and you will need to have chemistry and microbiology. And then the prerequisites for the sciences, those are pretty standard. So you will need to have a B- or higher in your sciences, just so you know that. And they will need to be within a 5-year time span. So next slide, please. So that would be 5 years or to now. Okay. And so thank you for your patience. So we touched on your sciences. Now we'll talk about the non-science courses, which you'll need to have lifespan psychology, introduction to statistics, nutrition, general psychology, oral communications, written communications, and intro to sociology or cultural anthropology. And you will need to have a C or better in these courses. And those courses need to be within a 7-year time span, just so you know. And a lot of these courses, you may have already taken them through your prior college credits. And so our admissions counselors, they will go over your educational history to determine which of those prerequisites can be met and which ones you'll still need to complete. So don't stress out too much. We'll guide you through that process. Alrighty. And the remaining admissions requirements, next slide, thank you. You will need to have 2 letters of recommendation, 1 academic and 1 professional, also 100 hours of healthcare experience, and we are looking for hands-on nursing experience, just so you know. Um, we wouldn't want any type of like transcription experience or daycare experience that wouldn't count. So you do want real healthcare clinical experience, and that's 100 hours. All right. And so we will also, you will submit a personal essay, a letter of intent, and this is especially useful for students that might not meet that GPA requirement because of courses or life experiences. So this letter of intent is a good opportunity for you to be able to advocate for yourself and explain why this is a good program for you. All right. And lastly, a recorded interview question response. This is by invitation only. So not every applicant will be invited to interview. So the ABSN admissions committee, they review all the completed files. And then if they determine that you're a good fit, then they'll email you and they'll get a hold of you and schedule an interview for that. And the goal of the video interviews is for the ABSN commissions committee members to get to know you beyond your academic profile and just make sure that, this program works good for you and that you feel that it's a good fit as well. All right, next slide. So let's talk about the hybrid cohort. The hybrid, it's our first cohort, which we are so excited about. That's coming this spring, January 2024. And there are limited spots, guys. We are looking for 48 students for the spring. And eventually we'll be working up to the 72 seats. But we also will make sure that you have small class sizes. This way you get as much attention as needed. All right. And so how do we determine who gets a seat? We have rolling admissions, which means that we evaluate applicants, all the applications as they come in, versus waiting for all the applications to come in all at once. And that's how we review all those applications. So our admissions committee, they generally review about every 2 weeks. And next, we're talking about the deposit. So the deposit date, it gets you a seat actually in line for that cohort seat. All right, so if you pay your deposit, you're placed in line for a spot. Let's say it doesn't work out for some reason. We look to that next available cohort, which is offered in order for your deposit date. So we're very transparent with our admissions list. For instance, so let's say you're number 49 on our admissions list. We're going to tell you you're number 49 on the admissions list. And a lot of the times, some schools don't give you that information, but we definitely want to be honest and transparent with all that information with our students. All righty. So next slide. So what now? Next steps. If you haven't already emailed me, please feel free to email me. And please take down, if you want to take a screenshot, you can email me your unofficial transcripts to tina.chisholm@absn.cui.edu. And please make sure to include your name, your phone number, your dates and time. And this way we can have a 30-minute conversation and go over your transcripts. And you can ask all the questions you want. Our admissions team, which is going to be me, will make sure to walk you. I will be your advisor, and I will be the one to walk you through the whole entire process, which I am so honored to do. And I thank you for your time today. And is it okay, Tuan, to see if there's questions in the chat, or do we save those for the end?
Yes, we're actually going to save the questions for the end. Okay. So at that time, both you and Jane will be fielding the questions depending on the questions. So next we have Jane Reynolds from San Marcos's nursing programs present on the various options at San Marcos. Let's pull up the PowerPoint right now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jane Reynolds, and I am the admissions advisor for many programs at Cal State San Marcos. I'm here representing specifically extended learning, another academic outreach arm of the university, and we do administer many of the nursing programs as well as other undergraduate and graduate programs. So I'm happy to be here. Next slide, please. So Cougar Pride. So I am thrilled to work for Cal State San Marcos, and I've been with extended learning department for about 7 years now. And I'm excited to help students get into specifically the nursing programs because they are pretty competitive, as we all know. And here's a statue of Cesar Chavez. Next, please. Just a little story about our wonderful campus in the heart of San Marcos. Great weather, wonderful people, great university. If any of you guys have not visited Cal State San Marcos, they call it the, because of all the stairs. Oh my gosh, I'm just having, it just passed me right now, but it's called the San Marcos for Stairmaster. You know what? Let's forget it. I can't remember the what it's called for. But our campus is beautiful. There are stairs everywhere, so you just get a workout just going from class to class. Next slide, please. So the nursing programs at Cal State San Marcos, we have the traditional Bachelor of Science in Nursing, the LVN to BSN, online RN to BSN, accelerated BSN. ABSN, kind of similar to what Tina just went over. And we also have the MSN as well as the post MSN certificate program. So the traditional TBSN and the LVN to BSN is through the main campus stateside. So I do have a little bit of information about those two programs, but basically I specifically administer, advise, and admit for the RN to BSN, ABSN, the MSN, and the post MSN. Next slide, please. So TBSN, and you can see, oh, okay, I think it's the next slide that has a QR code. So admission is going to be based on the point system and point system only. And there used to be a QR code here where you could scan and get more information. So that's for the RN to BSN, but okay, that's okay. So if you can go back to the TBSN and LVN to BSN, both extremely competitive, and they do only admit for first year freshmen and as a transfer student. For instance, you cannot be admitted to Cal State San Marcos and then decide to change your major to nursing. It's very difficult. TBSN admits maybe, from my last knowledge, maybe 20, 30 students a year. LVN maybe just a handful. So very competitive, based on the point system only, and the criteria with the pre-nursing core Ts, language other than the English language, residency, and a couple of other items that can be found on our website. Next slide, please. So RN to BSN, this program is for students who have their RN license, their licensure already or about to get their license. We do not prepare students to sit for the NCLEX exam. This is pretty much for students who have who attended an ADN or and sat for their NCLEX, have their license already, or that are going to be getting their licensure pretty soon. You could apply and be admitted prior to getting your license, but you do need to have your licensure before nursing 440 and 447, which is public nursing. So it is a program that is not meant for just all transfer students. It is specifically for students who have who are preparing for the NCLEX on their own. And we are accepting applications for fall 1 and fall 2. We do admit 4 times a year. and it is completely online, asynchronous, and you can finish and get your BSN in 14 months. Next slide, please. And just the admission criteria for the RN to BSN 2.0, cumulative GPA and all transferable units. That's going to be 2.5 if you're a post-bac student. Completion of 60 transferable units with the pre-nursing, all pre-nursing core must be C or better with a minimum GPA of 2.75. Next slide, please. So the ABSN, this is also competitive. Admission is based solely on the point system. We do not have a holistic approach for admission for this program. We do have 2 locations, one, the main campus in San Marcos, San Diego, and Temecula campus. We do admit 3 times a year, 60 students for each cohort. The summer is at the Temecula campus. It is a 2-year program, 6 semesters, and includes 67 complete units of study. And the unit rate for the program is $670. We are accepting applications for spring 2024. And of course, this is for students with a undergraduate degree already, and it can be in any major. Next slide, please. So the admission requirements for the ABSN program, of course, you have to have your bachelor's degree, a minimum of 2.5 GPA in the last 60 units, semester units, or 90 quarter units, minimum 2.75 GPA in per-nursing core. So these are just the minimum admissions requirements. The admission, again, is based on the point system with only 3 factors and 3 factors only. The pre-nursing core GPA, last 60 units GPA, and your TEAS exam score. So the possible points to make up is 52 points. And again, we do not have any other admissions requirement besides these 3 things. We don't have any personal statements, letters of recommendation. It is just based solely on the pre-nursing, based on the point system only. Next slide, please. Just some more information about our campus. October 1st, applications open, and FAFSA filing, Cougar Day, very exciting day for admitted students. And August 28th, 2023 is our first day of fall 2023. Next slide, please. So questions, this is our contact information. So I'm the advisor for the programs that I mentioned. And so I do the admissions and advising. And Krishan Freeman, she's actually the outreach recruitment specialist. She would be the one that would usually present here and probably do a much better job. So please contact her for any questions, and she will get back to you very, very quickly. Thank you.
Okay. It looks like there's already a couple questions in the chat. Actually, we'll get to the questions in a little bit, but let me actually, before we get to the questions, I just want to say a few quick things, okay? For students and for the new counselors, I know that you heard a lot of acronyms, okay? And the accelerated, the transfer, BSN, RN to BSN. Just know that within the nursing, there's literally 6 to 8 different pathways, okay, depending on where you start, okay, and depending on your grades and how competitive you are with the various types of programs. So if at this moment, it's been a little bit more, a bit of an information overload, that's okay, okay? Just know that there are multiple options available for you. And for students, if you, at your campus, if there is specifically a nursing counselor that you could work with to help break down all the various pathways, great. If not, then find a seasoned counselor who really does understand the various options and pathways within nursing, and also how to be competitive for the various options. Right. So I just want to at least give that a little bit of a context and overview for the folks who are hearing this information for the very first time. And that's really the reason why we're having this conference, because some of the pathways for med school, for nursing, for PA, it's manageable. but because there's so many different options and pathways and requirements, we wanted to expose both community college students and counselors. And we actually even opened this event up to high school students and college students, so then they could begin to learn about and explore the various options within nursing, as well as all the other various professions. Let's just start first and foremost with looks like Concordia. Looks like you have accelerated bachelor's program at both your Irvine campus and also your Rancho campus. The first question is, can a student kind of apply to both programs at the same time, or do they have to pick one or the other? Tina.
That's a great question. They can apply and then upon acceptance, decide which campus that they want to go to based on the number of seats. Now, Irvine has been up and running for years, so we're filling right now for seats for both, but we, may have more seats in the Rancho Cucamonga location. So I would definitely email me. My email's on there, and we can set up a time. This way we can go over which campus you prefer and really focus on that campus.
Okay.
But you would get to choose.
Then also just number wise too, for your accelerated bachelor's in nursing program, the one that's on the Irvine campus, how many spots do you have per year?
For the Irvine campus, the Irvine campus has more spots than roughly, I believe they're at 72. Yeah, they don't want to surpass that because they want smaller classroom sizes. And so for the Rancho Cucamonga, we're starting out with the 48 seats.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I heard that you guys were doing a hybrid one, but I didn't know much about it. So thank you for sharing with us that little bit of detail. And maybe a follow-up question for that too. For the hybrid one, are they expected basically to, half online and half in person? I assume that then a participant who's accepted that program should live in the vicinity of LA to be able to travel there, right?
They should live within the vicinity so that the driving is doable. And we recommend that they drive it and they make sure that it's doable for them. And so hybrid, the labs and the clinicals are the in-person. The rest of the classes, they are designated online courses. And, they're going to be designated as they go, but you can do them online, if that makes sense.
Okay, yes.
So the clinicals and labs are in person. So they will need to make sure it is a full-time program. So we don't recommend that they work full-time. We can't tell you not to work full-time, but it definitely is, an intense program with the labs and clinicals being 2 to 3 days a week.
Okay. Thank you for that answer, Tina. And then it looks like the next question is to Jane for San Marcos. Would the TBSN program be the same as your BSN program? Okay, so I think it's just a matter of clarification that the TBSN program is for transfer students, and then for the BSN program, it's actually various options, RN, TBSN, or some of the other options, as well as the TBSN.
Yeah, I do apologize for going over that pretty quickly, not realizing that the acronyms are every day for us, but not for everybody else. So TBSN is referred to as a traditional Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and that is for your incoming freshmen and transfer students only. ABSN is a post-bac program for accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing for students that already have a degree and want to pursue their second bachelor's degree in nursing. And then the RN to BSN program is registered nurse to Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So that's for students who are registered nurse or just about to become a registered nurse pursuing their Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
Okay. And I know that given that we do have a lot of community college students here and counselors here, I know that a lot of us are really interested in, the transfer program for the students who are transferring from the community college into your BSN program. Is that the program that you were saying with limited spots with about 20 or so participants?
Yeah, the TBSN program, and I that is through the stateside program. So I don't know if 20 students is the accurate number. Maybe it's 30, maybe slightly higher, but it's something in that range. So it is very, very competitive, like most transfer nursing programs, and students will have the local criteria is as preferred, the first batch of students that they're going to review first. And for Cal State San Marcos, that's going to be Palomar, Maricosta, MSJC, and I believe there's one more, but I can't. It's on our website, but it's one other one. So they're going to prioritize students from those local community colleges first.
Okay. And I assume that's probably just for the transfer option, but a lot of the other options, probably not, right?
I'm so sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, it sounds like you do have a local preference for your transfer BSN program. What about some of the other programs?
It also applies to the impacted programs as well, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if there are any other questions here. And then participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or put it into the chat.
I would like to put my email, if you don't mind, in the chat. This way, in case they really do want to email with any additional questions. And this way we can schedule a time to talk. And if they decide to go further, they can send transcripts and so forth. But I'll put that information in the chat because I know it was shown so quickly.
Okay. And it looks like there is a question. Does Concordia offer tuition assistance, basically fees, scholarships, and so forth? Because I know that the cost for Concordia, if you do the math on that, which I've done the math on that, it comes out to be about $56,000 per year for the tuition. So can you speak a little bit more on that?
Yes, we do have. You can apply for tuition assistance. You can apply for financial aid, and we have. We definitely have, a department to help with that, with financial aid. And then also keeping in mind that to help with some of that cost, they may need to apply for some private loans, but we do have that assistance that they can apply for.
And then we also add to that, because I've heard other presentations on nursing, we highly recommend for students to apply broadly, okay, to both, the public schools and also the private schools. So let's say, for example, that you're a student who is a transfer student and you started at San Jose, community college, transferred to one of the schools in Northern California, or maybe down here to UCI, okay, you have your bachelor's degree. Right? Yeah. In another area, let's say it was psychology, health science, and you wanted to do nursing. Okay. When you do apply for a second bachelor's degree in nursing, I would definitely apply to, San Marcos, as well as all the other Cal States that have the accelerated bachelor's programs. The cost is going to be, I know Fullerton's program, about $28,000. Okay. But also apply to Concordia and then apply to maybe some of the other private schools too, because you are not guaranteed a spot. It's still very, very competitive for even the accelerated bachelor's degree. Okay. Unless, if you have everything, if you have the 4.0, all the courses, a ton of clinical hours, then yes, you may have more opportunities to have more options and choices. But if you have a little bit lower GPA, especially in that 3.0 to 3.2 GPA range, okay, then definitely please apply widely, and maybe not only just look at West Coast and other campuses that are much larger and amid a larger pool, but maybe even out of state. So it really, you still have to kind of expand your options, especially if your GPA is a little bit on the lower side and maybe not as competitive as you want it to be.
Can I add something there, Tuan, real quick?
Yes.
From my experience as well, too. I would just really recommend that students reach out and see what the specific requirements are from each school. For instance, Concordia, it sounds like they have a holistic approach to admission. They have the interview process, which could help some students with maybe a little bit less pre-nursing core GPA, whereas our school, we're just solely based on the point system of your GPA, of your last 60 units, your pre-nursing core and Ts, and that's it. So you could be 10 years of experience as an EMT, but that's not going to really be applicable to my school, but it could for Concordia. So it's very important that students, before you start, going into this path and doing all this prerequisite coursework, that you really understand what's required from the schools that you are trying to apply to.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you for saying that. And I love that you guys at San Marcos, you have a plethora of options. So that's something to really look into as well.
So for instance, like some students can finish their ADN at a community college and get their nursing license, and then come to the RN to BSN to get your, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So that's really a very good pathway too, inexpensive, time-wise. So that's an option as well too.
Yes.
We got some questions in the chat.
Okay, I'm looking through it, but maybe it was earlier questions.
So would the 56,000 be the total cost for the 15-month program? So for Concordia?
That's the approximate cost, that they gave me. So we could definitely go over that further in more detail if you want to reach out, but that is the cost that they said.
And then is there a single nursing app for all these different schools that we have heard from today, or is it recommended that we apply to each specific school?
There's not this one app that applies to everyone, like incoming freshmen with Common App. I think that's what it's called. So each school will definitely require their own they'll have their own application process. So even the 23 CSUs, you can go in there to Cal State Apply, but you do have to specify which school you're going to apply to. But with the specific nursing programs as a transfer student, they're going to be different application process for all the different schools.
Yeah, and the reality is I know that Jane, you already mentioned it too, but I do have a colleague who's a nursing counselor, and she actually mentioned to me the exact same thing, because all the nursing programs and their offerings and options are so different, okay, in their criteria, in their missions and policy. Unless it's a nursing counselor at a specific community college, most counselors don't know all those details, and so therefore we always highly recommend for students, okay, to go and connect directly with basically the admissions representatives at these various nursing programs to get the details directly from the folks who are advising students. And sometimes information changes too. So what it was a year or 2 years ago is different now. So therefore, students should definitely try to get the latest information, so then they are actually more prepared each time that they are applying.
Absolutely. I could not stress that enough, Tuan, because for instance, even our ABSM program, highly competitive, and we just recently changed some of the admissions requirements so that students, we are now taking the best grade for the pre-nursing core, whereas previously there was repeat rules. So even if you're speaking with your counselor at your community colleges, it's really important, beneficial for students to reach out to the school that they are going to apply to specifically to find out what their criteria is and if any criteria has changed, because this was very impactful in the recent changes that we had as well.
Okay, I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions. Looks like there were a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Know that, for the most of the nursing programs for the CSUs, they do use nursing CAS, but I think there's one specific Cal State that's different, and then it varies by the various private schools and what they use for admissions purposes. And I know that some schools have secondaries, other ones actually have the interview and put a lot of weight into that. So it really all varies by the various programs. It looks like there is a question from Anna. If I finish school in another country, not the US, what about my GPA score? Is it enough just to translate my high school diploma? So it really depends on high school diploma or college diploma. Okay, so definitely high school. I don't think it's taken into consideration. But for the college coursework from outside the country, maybe Jane and Tina, if you don't mind sharing at your campuses how you view foreign transcripts.
We have an international advising team that reviews transcripts from non-domestic foreign countries. So for ABSM, for instance, we do have students who are admitted with their degree from a different country, but then there are courses that need to be specifically completed here. For instance, like written communications and critical thinking. But yes, we students with international coursework, we work together with our international advising team. Probably similar like you, right, Tina?
Yes, exactly. I just got an email saying pretty much the same thing that you said. There's a process and there's a team that does review all of that. And so, yeah, we welcome again, you reaching out to either both of us and seeing which one meets your needs. But there is a team from Jane's and from mine that will go over that.
Okay. Just reviewing the chat, it doesn't look like I see any other questions. If you have any final questions, we could just please ask right now, okay? Because if not, we will be closing out this session, and I just have a few final comments.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, actually, there looks like one question, even though it was directly to me, but we could definitely ask this for the group. Does volunteering in a hospital count as clinical experience? So what exactly does count as clinical experience in order to basically, potentially boost up the point system for a lot of the nursing programs? Or maybe some nursing programs may even have clinical hours required.
Yes, we have 100 clinical hours required, and as long as it's healthcare hands-on experience, no transcribing, daycare, because they have some of that in the hospitals. It's got to be real patient care, 100 hours experience as far as our requirements.
We don't have that. We don't, it's not part of our admissions criteria.
Okay, but I know that for some community colleges, depending on how many hours you have, of clinical experience or work experience related to the health professions, it may add to the point system, especially for some of the community college ABN programs. Okay, and then so CNA count towards hours. It really depends on the program. I think most probably do count that. Okay. So it looks like we are just right out of time. I do want to thank our two presenters today, Jane and Tina, okay, from your respective campuses to share with both our students and also our counselors a bit of detail on your various programs, okay, and the participants, as you can see, nursing is its own little monster in its own various pathways. So please reach out directly to the various campuses and schools and programs that you are interested in to get really the direct information. Okay, even myself, who's been a counselor now for over 15 years, the one area that I'm actually fairly know a decent amount about, okay, for is nursing, okay, but a lot of questions still stump me, and unfortunately, I do have a relative who's a nursing counselor. I always have to go to her. Hey, Nancy, what's this? What's this? And half the time, I get the answers. Tuan, you know what? I can't. I kind of know the answer, but I can't answer that because it depends. It's situational. You have to reach out directly, or have the student directly reach out to these various representatives. So I think that that's my final thought, and I know that our two representatives could agree with that final statement.